boys and girls. We're back.
Happy Friday.
It's about time.
What are you eating
today? Side of my office rather than the back. The back shows the fireplace, but now we have couches blocking the fireplace.
Happy Friday, Lance.
Couch.
You're in like a different place every week.
Same place, different angle.
No, different angle. Your background's always different. Everybody liked the fireplace. You need to figure that out again.
Yeah, well, we have the rental, and now we have a couch in there, and that's in front of the fireplace.
It's okay. You can sit on the couch.
I could, but then I'd have to move my big giant computer or my laptop, and I have my other screen over here with notes because I want to talk about something today.
Yes, you do. Your favorite topic in the whole world.
Yeah. So, uh-oh, doorbell rang. I think that means that is it Mr. Rogers? Hold on.
Oh my God.
Where's my mute button? That's the wrong button.
So he's answering the door. Anyway, tonight, Faz wants to hit hard on the newest Gala lawsuit. They are apparently putting a lawsuit in against Gamedia. And this is going to get interesting. We have some pretty good dialogue about this for you tonight.
Did you have a time covering for me?
Of course. Because everything's more important than FazRadio.
Everything. Yeah.
God.
See? Oh, stop the button.
Anyway, we also want to talk a lot also about OMS's latest video. I think the Academy Awards should be notified that he's producing these because they are freaking fantastic. And there was something else. What else was on the list there?
Well, we had. I missed part of it. We have this new lawsuit happening this time from Gala to somebody else entirely. Did you say that part?
I did, and I talked about OMS.
And then we have the link that you found about.
The node rewards. Now, did you know? Of course, you're walking away. We should probably tell the community also that there is an active node vote going on right now. And the reason I have to say that is I looked a little bit earlier and there was less than 5,000 votes cast out of 24,000 plus nodes running. So either the apathy is high and nobody really cares, or nobody knows about it. One of the two. Did you vote, Faz?
Not yet. I'm actually looking at my node right now. Let's see.
He doesn't even know there's a node vote.
Okay. How do they announce that node votes happen? See, I'd love to get notifications on my computer telling me that there's a node vote. Because
they talk about it in Discord, but nobody goes there anymore. And they sent an email. They put out a news article on it. And it was on ahead of the game.
Okay, let's see right here. Should the referral incentive system, blah, blah, be implemented to enhance ecosystem sustainability and community engagement? Can you read that? So what's that about? Referral system. So we're going to be doing this whole MLM plan again?
Yeah. You can see how many votes are there because I don't have my computer in front of me. What's the total yes/no vote count?
Oh, I don't know. I can
roughly.
3 nodes. Let's see. It won't tell me right now, will it?
Yes. Look underneath where it says yes and no.
No, it says cast up to 3 votes because I only have 3 nodes.
No, I know that, but there's you got to vote first and then you'll see the results. Sorry.
That's what I was telling you. I mean,
I didn't understand. I thought you'd already voted when you said that you did that. So I was trying to point out where you
they have abstain on here. That's new.
Now read carefully the yes and the no and tell me which way they're wanting you to lean.
So we have, yes, I support the implementation of the referral incentive system as planned, as proposed, recognizing its potential to enhance ecosystem sustainability and community engagement through incentivized token burns. Well, I know what they want. No, I do not support the proposal as it stands. I believe the proposed referral system and token burn incentives may not align with the ecosystem's long-term growth and engagement goal. Well, that's a big no. Done. Looks like yes is winning. So,
how many votes total? How many people voted, does it look like?
2,823 total votes. 47% vote yes. 43% vote no. Here's my 3 votes. This would be 1352 without me. Oh, wait. That'd be, sorry, this would be 1217 without me. I knocked it up to 1220. So I gave it a little bit of a boost.
Yeah. What do you think? Is it apathy or miscommunication or non-communication?
That's a good question. How many votes, how many people have nodes right now?
The active workload that I saw last was right over 24,000 on chain.
How many nodes does Gala Games itself have?
That is a trick question. How many does Gala Games, the company, have? Plus or minus how many nodes each individual employee contributes. And since they've already announced in the legal documents that they've doxed every node, God forbid you work at Gala and go against the narrative, because they're going to know who it is.
Well, so I thought they have like 7,000 or something. Didn't the Wright Thurston case give numbers of who has what nodes?
Yes, the company itself has slightly less than half the vote.
Wow. Okay. So,
and employees, we don't know obviously how many employees have, but I would assume that most employees at some point would have probably bought into it. I don't know. They said that the reward nodes that they gave out would be non-voting nodes, but we don't know that because they haven't released the data on that, so we can check. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if they go to referrals, does that mean we need to start referring people so we can get money? We get more Gala.
Well, what's now? I don't know. You will know this more than me because this was happening before I joined the ecosystem. But there is conjecture going around that if you did not buy your node with a direct referral to a person, that referral reward goes to Gala Games. So in other words, if I didn't sign up under Faz's referral, Gala Games gets all the referral rewards. And apparently with this vote, it's retroactive, meaning it goes back to day one. So Gala Games stands, as I'm reading this, Gala Games stands to get a fark ton of referral points credited to them as well if it passes.
So let's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to go into the article that you were talking about, which is talking about this very node vote. It's on Medium, right?
Correct. Hey, Hunter, we're talking about Gala Games.
So rather than read it myself, I have posted it into a nice AI helper named Claude. Claude's really helpful with summarizing things. Be aware, though, they could get some things wrong. You look like you're going to say something.
No, I was going to say I love Claude. I'm glad you're using Claude more.
So basically it says Gala is preparing to update its node ecosystem to enhance rewards for the most active operators. Okay. Currently, the founders node operators receive rewards based upon meeting a minimum 6-hour uptime requirement each day. Let's move this over to this window. That way I'll be staring at you guys. Currently, founders node operators receive rewards based on meeting a minimum. Yeah, I just said that. The new system will remove the minimum uptime. and reward the minimum uptime requirement and reward node operators based upon the actual time they run their nodes, which means every minute you run it, you gain something for it. The new point system allows operators to earn partial points with a maximum of 4 points per day, 1 point for every 6 hours of operation. Okay, okay. So that's the metric then. So that's 1/6 of a point for every hour. The total amount of Gala available in the daily distribution will not change except during dynamic supply events. What does that mean?
That means happenings.
Oh, this change will initially only affect the distribution of Gala from founders nodes and dirt. All of a sudden, where'd that come from? From common ground world nodes.
Yes.
Interesting that they throw that. Why the common ground world nodes? Why not?
Because they're making those NFTs before they're making founders nodes. They're using the Townstar nodes as the guinea pigs, I guess. They're also talking about, if you look in the article, they're talking about issuing reward NFTs. And I don't know if they're going to be tradable or
How do you know? Wait, how do you know that they're going to be doing common ground world nodes first?
Because it says right there.
It just says "and" both of these. That's all.
No, there's others. There's other posts out there talking about that. I think it's on the Gala Games Twitter.
Okay. This update is a step toward making tokenized licenses called node workload NFTs, which you just said, allowing node operators to transfer their licenses to other users. Oh, right here. You just read a little bit further down, didn't you? Okay.
No, I read a couple articles today. I don't know which bit of info was in which article.
So it did say common ground world node licenses. By the way, I'm eating my sugar-free coconut chips, just dried coconuts.
Blech. Coconut's filthy.
Common ground world node licenses will be the first to be converted to node workload NFTs, followed by founders node licenses. What could go wrong? In the future, modifiers will be implemented to reward additional points for running the newest version of the node client. Well, okay. So the concept, or reduce points for running a deprecated version. So here's the thing. I like that concept. I like the idea of rewarding node operators for keeping things up to date, keeping things current, and doing the most work. That makes sense. Otherwise, people might get butthurt because it's like, well, I've got 35 nodes. No names said here. I've got 35 nodes, and I'm not getting paid full amount for all of them because they want me to have more CPU power and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the purpose of the network. I think that's a great idea.
So there's a lot, as you always say, to unpack here. Your own assertions in the past never update until they force you to. So as a software developer, I say
stop. Okay, so the reason I say that is the older versions tend to be the most reliable versions. Mm-hmm. However, if I want test users for the newest versions, yeah, I like the idea of paying them a little bit of extra. What they're really doing by saying that is, yeah, we'll reward you more for being a guinea pig for running the newest version of the node. It may crash more often. Okay, well, that's just the price you have to pay for getting extra dirt and Gala. Makes a lot of sense. But yeah,
well, I understand that point, but
set it and forget it. Well, then go ahead, run the oldest version. But it now says reduce points for running a deprecated version. It's going to be a balance. I don't think it's going to be as easy to set it and forget it anymore, unless you have some sort of AI like keeping up with things, updating things.
So on the other side of that, there's two things I want to mention about these nodes and the uptime and everything else. The first thing is I would like to push on Gala to release the software that they were using to run Eric and Wright's nodes. All their various nodes were running via one workload. Remember that came out in the Gala lawsuit? I think they should be releasing that so that people in the ecosystem can take advantage of that as well. I don't think it's really fair for them to have that privilege, but not the ecosystem.
Was this something that's been verified, sir? Or is this something that just
that's in the legal documents? Go read your own CFA legal documents.
Wait,
it's right inside there.
Wait, sir. You know that legal documents are assertions and not truth, right? The word legal document, the word legal doesn't make them any more right. And we're going to go a step further with that, because we have some legal documents here from Gala Games on Crypto Faz Academy about them suing Gamedia. So are those true, or are those allegations? Tell me, oh lawyer.
Well, there's no evidence posted with it, as you always say, so I would say it's a bunch of bullshit until we see some evidence.
Thank you for completely doing a 180 right there. But they're legal documents, sir. Legal.
Ah, yes. But the documents that were the Gala Eric versus Wright thing does have a lot of proof in it.
Okay. Well, I want to make that crystal clear. I like the idea of evidence being the reason, but I don't like people waggling the word legal documents up in the air. Somebody this morning wrote me in a text commenting that certain informed people had a certain opinion, and it's like, so you're just throwing, that's like an expert fallacy. Because some expert said something, I'm going to believe it. No, believe it based on the evidence, not what other people say.
No,
so watch what people do, not what they say.
Right. So we also at CFA have a legal talk room, right? So we keep the documents locked down so that there's not a lot of fluff in there and people can find things easier. But there's also a legal talk channel, and if you peruse that one, there are some really smart people with some really good takes on that.
Okay, I'm just going to jump around. So I have another note here. This note says Timbo's game. Timbo advertised a game on Gold, didn't he? I don't think we should be talking about what happens on Gold, but I think, so we won't say what the responses are, but Timbo's probably wanting to let everybody know about it, right?
I agree. There was some banter about it today, and he's very excited about that.
That's all you're going to say, huh?
Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to say and what I'm not supposed to say.
Okay.
But if you go to Gala Gold, if you're not a member, too bad. But if you are, you can go read in Gala's server a conversation where Timbo's talking about the thing that he has cooking, and that guy has about 4 million things cooking at all times. He posted the other day a challenge out there to beat his high score. He's just, every game that he plays, the guy just grinds it like 8 hours a day and becomes an expert at it.
Must be nice to have that kind of time, but he's a big, rich baseball player who probably made a lot on crypto, right?
I don't know. Timbo is, he has his fingers in a lot of different pies, and he is someone that is incredibly surprising, right? So you go, oh, he's an expert here, and then he like builds the entire Moth website by himself, and he's like, oh, now he knows how to do really cool websites. Wow, that's kind of cool. Then the guy builds a game, and he's like, well, either way, I'm just saying,
I'm still impressed by his business acumen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, his expertise, you get shocked with every level of expertise this guy has. You're like, how many things can one person be so good at? And so much love to Timbo. He's a hell of a nice guy to talk to also.
Okay, Hunter Hughes has a question. I think it has something to say about the videos in our library.
Yeah, so we have Hunter, who appears to be new. Welcome, Hunter. So he was asking a little earlier if we can comment on the Wright versus Eric stuff and which way we lean. And I pointed out in the chat to him, hey, we did a whole bunch of videos on those. So they are in the library. If you go to the FazRadio playlist, you'll be able to see all of our lives. We do live broadcasts, so they're not under the recorded tab. They're under our lives. So you have to go to the FazRadio drop down, and you'll see all our stuff.
Okay. Oh, we'd love to hear your thoughts on Wright versus Eric. Okay. Well, do you think you could summarize how you lean?
Absolutely. So I am 100% in favor of it not going Eric's way. I think the path of Eric's leadership has brought Gala to where it is today, which is where we've seen a lot of people not being very happy with the results so far. So I really hope that that it does swing that way.
I myself, I'm a bit suspicious of Wright Thurston. I think that he has points, but I'm not sure his planned remediation, his planned solution. I call it a remediation. I don't think that his planned remediation is going to work out the way we think. If I recall in the documents, he had said something like he wanted to remove the board and replace it with a whole bunch of different people. And
yes, he wants to remove Eric. And I personally, I think that would be fantastic for the ecosystem. I think the decisions that have been made over the last 3 years are not in line with the customers. I think they're, as any business would, they're more in line with what Eric wanted to see for Gala, but it hasn't worked out for the customers. And in many cases, you could have many people share their opinions that they've actually been harmed by those decisions. And so I do think an independent board that could oversee getting Gala going in the right direction would be fantastic.
So I think, so Eric has always reminded me of Steve Jobs, but perhaps not this as good as him. I don't know. He has always reminded me of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had a reputation for being an asshole and being an absolute jerk to people, but came up with a lot of neat ideas, and got a very unlikely company going. Steve Jobs was very, very, very hard to work with. Nobody liked him, unless you're in his sphere, and he's just an ass to other people. But he made a lot of money, and so as a result, when I first heard of Gala Games, I saw that comparison. I was like, okay, I'll put some money in here because I think it's a good gamble, and I think it has been to some degree. As far as how he can manage, how he can transition from taking huge risks to actually managing a company that starts coming into its own. I don't know. I'm not getting the sense that he's a good manager, just from all the things that I see and hear. So I don't know. Steve Jobs was also kicked out of Apple for a while, and Apple just tanked. And then they asked for him to come back, and then Apple did really good again. So, I mean, if you want to bet on something, he might be a good guy for the company. But if you want to, I don't know, enjoy working there, or I don't know, if you have an opinion about his attitude, maybe he's not. I don't. That said, the stuff that I have learned about Wright Thurston in those legal documents makes me even less enamored with him. I get the sense that he likes to just sit back and be a quiet investor, and that he goes for a lot of MLM schemes. And sure, it's having just totally replacing Eric would certainly get Wright what he would want out of the situation. But I think the company would become boring and probably hasten its death. So I think that would be a bad move. As to what I think would be a good move, I don't know. I don't really manage a $1 billion company, and it takes balls of steel to manage a $1 billion company.
So you talk about crazy MLM with Wright. What do you think this referral vote that you reported on is?
Yeah, that's a good point. So Why the hell are they going back to crazy MLM again? Must have worked for them in the past. I would call that desperation, because Eric has said many times that he does not like the idea of MLM, and he thinks it's terrible, and doesn't have a lot of good things to say about other companies that use it, and hasn't even crowed about he would never do that again, and it was only for how they started, and now they're doing it again. But
why?
Covering his ass. Wait, he's covering his ass. He has it as a subject, as a node vote. Then he can go, okay, guys, no, you wanted it, not me. Not me. I didn't want it. You wanted it. Well, why even ask us the question? Why even go there?
I believe in OMS's video, there's a post about Eric saying why MLM has to be the choice.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so go back and watch the video.
So Eric was for MLM before he was against it. Then he was so against it. Now he's totally
no.
For it.
He wasn't for it. He was only for it for one reason. It was very good at generating money.
Yeah. And those that can bring in the most people. Now we have all these people playing Gala's games and on their Discord and stuff like that. I mean, heck, here we are talking about Gala Games. So we got a whole 19 users up here, 19 viewers up here watching us. So that's 19 more people that get to hear about all this and possibly participate in this scheme.
So Zorro, I understand where you're at, but at the same time, we know that 2 years ago, Gala Games was flush with cash and flush with users and people that were excited, and things were going in a great direction. I didn't interrupt you when you were rambling. Now let's take a peek at where Gala Games is, and it's not in a good place. So it is, in my opinion, in a much worse place than it was in the past. So any change that will bring in fresh leadership that will potentially have the ability to change the direction from going straight down to up in the air, to me, is a good move.
Okay, look, I mean, that's what Wright Thurston is suggesting, is literally just get rid of the guy on top and then just re-roll yourself a new company. That's what it sounds like he's really saying. Based upon a board, I'm sorry, but I've seen committees make software and they suck. Can a DAO make software? I don't know. Didn't we just have Nate on the last week talking about how hard it is to get a DAO together and how hard it is to get them to do good work?
Right. So a big plus on that for me is Wright is not asking for the company to be transferred to him to be run. He's asking for it to be independent people or person to take over the reins on that. And there could be tons and tons of qualified people.
So does that mean he could divest all of his interests in Gala then before this happens?
I don't know how that works. I really don't. I don't know how a forced company change works.
So what he's saying, he's not a manager. He doesn't want to manage. He's happy to bet his wad of Gala or whatever on randos running it rather than Eric.
Yes. And that's where I would lean. That's where I would lean. If I had to bet my bag, will that bag be successful under Eric continuing or under someone independent, whether it's a board or a person? I'm pushing that over to the board or independent person. That's where I would bet my bag.
How many game companies are out? Oh, wait a minute. I want to go back and answer something. You're like, oh yeah, just a couple of years ago, Gala was just rolling in the green. I'm sorry, if you had any crypto at all, you were rolling in the green a couple of years ago. So that's kind of a BS argument. They happen.
No, not really.
Yes, really. So they happen to get the attention. They happen to be an early mover, and they, as far as the capitalist way goes, early movers get all the money. And so during a boom, they got a lot of attention and they got a lot of money. Then what happens? The boom went away. all the money dried up, and then just about every single company that had, crypto stuff going on either went under, got sued, imploded, or whatever, and they're still around. So, I mean, let's be realistic about the comparisons. I mean, what? Gemini is no longer offering their earn thing. BlockFi has gone away. Half a dozen other crypto companies have sued each other. FTX blew up. Come on, you can't pin this completely. Pin their sudden lack of luck based. Lack of money on just leadership.
Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of other gaming companies like Star Atlas and Playable Games that aren't being faced with the same monetary pressures as Gala has. So that does lead directly back to leadership decisions, as well as when we used to argue, we argue a lot, but over in the past when we would argue about where the buck stops, and you were always slamming your fist on the desk for anything that's wrong with the company is always the CEO's where the buck stops. It's always his or her fault, period. End of story.
Ultimately.
Yeah. So with Gala in the position it's in, how many lawsuits now are we up to? 5 that they're involved in? So
because
with that,
the number of lawsuits matters.
With them having to cash in their distribution constantly to keep themselves afloat.
So when you're making
not a lot of things happening,
when you're making billions of dollars, lawsuits just becomes a way of life. That's what happens in any company. So I'd rather use a real metric rather than just the existence of lawsuits. Every gaming company has to deal with lawsuits all the time. That's not new. And I mean, look at EA Games. I'm sure you can find more than 5 lawsuits with them. Come on. I mean, anything involving intellectual property, you're going to have a lot of that stuff. And of course, you could say, well, it's Gala's different. Well, then you're going to have to prove that. That's all. I'm not defending them. I'm just trying to keep people honest with their comparisons. That's all.
The decisions were made. The ecosystem is where it is, and the buck stops with the top, according to you. So you should be advocating the same things I'm advocating if you truly believe that.
No, the answers to everything in this world are not black and white. I'm fine with the buck stops here. I think it ultimately does. However, I don't think that you need to use it in such a broad way, like, oh, well, this happened. It's top guy's fault. This happened. It's the top guy's fault. There are people all the way up the chain making dumb decisions that basically you can make go away and the company does better. That's why companies fire and hire people. It's the buck stops here has to do with how well the guy manages. Speaking of that, let's move on to yet another lawsuit, because Gala Games has a bunch. Apparently, Gala Games is now suing Gamedia. Those are the people that make spider tanks. Apparently, Gamedia has stopped supporting the game and refuses to provide source code to Gala Games. Well, that says to me that somehow they have an agreement where they're going to get the source code for spider tanks. What's this? Gamedia threatened to prematurely end Gala Games' exclusive rights to publish the game. And Gala Games has sued Gamedia for a breach of contract and to enforce its exclusive rights. So apparently, Spider Tanks was bankrolled by Gala Games, and now that Gala Games is starting to have some trouble, they're starting to say, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to honor contracts.
There is not a lot. Unfortunately, Gamedia has been very quiet from what I've heard. They have not made a lot of counterclaims to the information that Gala has provided on the why behind the why for the contention that they've had over the last year or so as far as updates and such. There's only that one source, which is generally come out of Gala Games. Now, number one, I think it's important to note that with this lawsuit, Gala provided zero evidence. They didn't even provide the contract yet. So that leads me to part 2 of, until Gamedia responds to that lawsuit and we see what their side is and what they contend, then there's not really much to talk about. It's kind of like a nothing burger at this point. Because as you said early in this cast, anybody can say anything. So it's just a nothing burger, just another lawsuit.
Yeah, I want to know about the specific things that Gala Games is relying on for its claims about exclusivity, support, and providing source code.
So in that lawsuit, if you read it, one of the bones of contention is the contract term, because the definition of their 3-year agreement was when the game was released. So Gala would have exclusivity for 3 years after the game is released. Gala's contending, well, what that means is when it was publicly released, which was November, I believe, of 2022. November of 22. So they're saying, Gala's saying, we have exclusive rights till November of 25. Gamedia is asserting, apparently according to this document, that, oh, no, let's back that up. You guys released this game for people to play way earlier than that, so the obligation ends in September of 24. So Gamedia wants the time that the platform people were beta testing and alpha testing and everything else to be counted as the release, where Gala Games is saying, no, we only count from when it was publicly released, where everybody could play it, not just the people from that we let in with beta testing.
Okay.
So again, it's a lot of he said, she said definitions kind of things, I think.
So one of the biggest problems with software development is, what does done mean? And so in this case, what does release mean? And it sounds like Spider Tanks has a way to say, well, once you started putting it out for people to play, it's been released.
That would be a good way to put it. That's what the document says.
I don't know if it said it was in public beta or not. At the time, I think that it was. It's always been said it was in some sort of beta. However, I would bet that if Gala Games had to answer to the SEC regarding the Gala coin and Town coin and stuff like that, that they would say that Townstar was released first before they did their Town coin at all, rather than the other way around, where it's been in public beta for damn near forever. I could see them having different views on different games of theirs as to what release actually means.
Well, if you remember back, we had a fantastic discussion with Gamedia on FazRadio here. And during that discussion, and he told us repeatedly, and this is something that you actually, this was one of the first times I was cheering you on, one of the first times you ever pushed back and confronted Brink about some statements, because Spider King was saying right on our cast, hey, everything's done, everything's ready, we're waiting on Gala. They're the ones that aren't implementing this. We've given them everything that they need to move forward. We don't know what the delay is here. So if we want to speculate on that, because back then Gala Chain wasn't a thing, right? Because that was pre-Gala Chain, I believe. So what my guess is with that is that Gamedia gave Gala all the stuff, their updates and the actual release version, and it was, my guess is it was supposed to go on Gala Chain, and Gala Chain wasn't ready yet. That, if I had to speculate and guess, that would be my guess.
So what do you think?
And so that is an entire podcast on its own. The quick and dirty on that is, I don't think it's a viable solution for anybody because of the bridging fees. Bridging in and out costs money, right? And if you are a node person, right, and you mint your node rewards, they're automatically, you don't have a choice anymore. They have to be minted to Gala chain. And to get those off of Gala chain, you have to mint them again over to the ETH chain. And as of last week, when the Gala price was running up, Gala was charging a bridging fee up to, we saw screenshots up to $635 in ETH fees just to get your tokens back over to ETH so you could go do something with them. If that is the way Gala chain is going to operate, I mean, they're touting the swap. They have the Gala swap where you can swap tokens, and it's only one Gala to make a swap. Well, you can go swap those tokens, but then if you have to pay $635 to get it back over to ETH, you'd be far better off just trading on MetaMask, and they have pretty high fees. And I posted that into one of Brink's tweets, and it got hidden. So, they don't want to hear. They don't want to talk about that part. They only want the excitement of one Gala to trade.
Okay, so about those bridging fees, that may not be as much of an issue because Ethereum blockchain is going to do a new upgrade soon, and I don't know how to pronounce this. The Denkun upgrade.
Right, that won't affect it.
It is intended to reduce gas fees and encourage more users to bridge assets to other platforms. So
yes,
my thought is that means lower bridging fees and lower costs for layer 2 blockchains to store data. I'm reading this right off the fucking webpage here, dude. So you got to stop saying no. Okay.
Because there's context, and you always say context is important.
Mm-hmm.
So the context on this is the bridging fee. If you compare the bridging fee, if you go to Etherscan, you can see the bridging fees to and from ETH. They list them. Mm-hmm. The bridging fee, when the fees were $635 to bridge, the ETH bridging fee to any other bridge was averaging $28. Gala adds, it's an optional fee that Gala controls. They were adding 2.5 times the square root of 97 divided by the third moon phase, and then multiplied that by how many swallows it takes to lay 15 eggs, right? It's a stupid, complicated formula they came up with. But the silliest part of the whole thing is you'll see this banner on the bridge fee, and it'll say, demand is off the charts. So that's why, do you know what the trigger is for that fee going up due to demand?
What?
10 transactions. And that's transactions in, out, or on Gala chain.
Where have you found that information at, sir?
That is in Gala's documentation on the ETH bridging fees. Again, for the 9 millionth time, I have to tell you, go read shit. So I don't have to keep educating you.
You're providing the news. If you're giving the news, you've got to tell people where to find it. I'm not asking for me.
Good
I'm
God.
for all these nice 21 people here now. Okay.
I don't even know what document that was in.
You tell them to go Google it. You're just making shit up, right? Go Google it. Why didn't you Google it?
No.
Because I don't want to have to tell you. That's really nice of you. Okay. That's how you think of your watchers, huh?
I can't possibly have every single document for everything that we talk about handy to post up. It's not how it works. Okay, unless we do a scripted show, then but nobody likes scripted shows.
Just believe Mr. Titan. He knows it.
That's right.
I'm going to go a little bit in a different direction here, because we're at 44 minutes already.
Yeah, we need to talk about. We need to talk about OMS too.
Well, we'll do that next. We have some new zip bugs here now. See that on OpenSea? Just a few. Been improving my AI stuff. All these zip bugs are based upon drawings that I made, and of course I go into AI and I do things to it. This one is kind of nice. Actually, I like this one a lot. This one looks a lot like my little Borg bug, but better. So AI is awesome. Just saying. Now let's do the next thing with OMS. No, you're muted, sir.
Yes, I am. I was coughing and clearing my throat. I am almost finally rid of this chest bug from 5 weeks ago. I stopped coughing finally, and the rest of the phlegm is almost gone. Anyway,
thank you for that.
Yeah. So OMS is legendary, not only from the Gala ecosystem, but he's now over at Playable, contributing on multiple levels. He is has his fingers in a bunch of different projects. Very knowledgeable, very, very ingrained in what he does, meaning he's not surface level. And he released his third installment of the history of Gala Games. And he did 2019 and 2020. 2020 was just released the other day. It was a fantastic 20-minute video. We posted links, I believe, to it, and you can find it anywhere on any of our Twitter feeds or in CFA Discord, or if you're over at Forged in Crypto's Discord, it's all over there. Outstanding, because a lot got lost over the years between the terrible communications that we've complained about for years. He's putting ungodly hours into creating these videos and telling the actual history with evidence and proof of all the steps throughout the years until we arrive here. 2021 and 2022 are probably going to take him multiple videos and a whole lot of time, because that's when the shit really hit the fan with everything. And he's pointed out already several contradictions. He's pointed out several of the things where it's almost as though Gala's trying to rewrite their own history and tell us things now, such as, hey, we were never really a gaming company. We were always just a blockchain company, but we started with games. Well, OMS has already pointed out that may not have necessarily been true, and he posted a bunch of screenshots talking about that. So 21 and 22 is going to be interesting. If you don't follow him or his channel, please do. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm a little cramped on this desk, and I know I'm terrible for following up, but this is too important not to repost. I will get it in the show notes, and I'll repost it in the FazRadio chat as well, so that anybody can quickly click a link and watch what he's produced. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, I was actually around the Gala Games scene in late 2022. Apparently just a few months before Old Man Smithers. Admittedly,
he was in 20. You were in 20.
2020. Yes. I got into it in late August, early September of 2020. And that's when I bought a node. And
refunded a node and then bought a node again.
I do recall the node. I did. Actually, the first node that I got was in August. I got the node. And then unfortunately, as I was getting the node, there was something wrong with the transaction. And because I had paid in Bitcoin, actually, because they took Bitcoin at that time. And they just wanted money sent to an address. So I did that. And we had to clear up a bunch of problems because I didn't get my node. It took me about a week or so. And then Bitbender handled it for me. And then I was like, oh, by the way, I just read your little draft white paper thing. And it says that I say that it's, that you're depending on me thinking that it's not a security or something like that.
Accredited investor.
Accredited investor. That's right. So I'd said, this is offered only to accredited investors only. I'm not an accredited investor, so I probably shouldn't be buying nodes. And so That's why I returned it. So I returned it because I was just like, I'm not an accredited investor. I'm not worth like what, $1 million or whatever. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to return it for that reason. And so to his credit, Bitbender worked with me and got it returned. And then he came back later and he's like, oh, by the way, that was in some earlier draft and I had thrown some stuff down there and this was not entirely correct and you don't have to be an accredited investor. I was like, okay. So then I bought the node back like a couple weeks later with Gala this time because they had changed it during that time. And then I wound up buying a couple more later. So anyway, the stuff that I saw in OMS's video, I don't entirely recall that being a big deal at the time because everybody was thoroughly happy about the fact that the node prices were cut. Now, apparently he had made the point in his video that node prices were at a certain amount of money and that they would never cut them. Benefactor had said that they would never cut these node prices, but they didn't exactly cut them as much as say, we're just going to base it on the price of Bitcoin or something. And so the price went up and down. And so I just waited for Bitcoin to go really low. And then I bought one, at that time because my spending power was really high. And so I got it for, or maybe it went up, whatever the case is. I bought it and I think I wound up getting nodes really cheap. After a while, they started changing it to a different metric. Whatever the case is, apparently he had promised at some point he wasn't going to cut the price, and then later offered it at a reduced price. I do recall that them offering it on sale, and it was for a short period of time. I don't recall anybody being up in arms about this. I think people rather liked it at the time, from what I recall. So. Okay, if he wants to use that, sure. I think he said it's more of a harbinger of things to come than anything else, because I think he probably liked the idea of it too.
So, Zorro, you're right in one sense, but I went in and I reminded those who repost it to check with the campaigns that Gala is running, like with THX and what Brink and others are using, and make sure they're hashtagging and mimicking those so that it shows up in more people's feeds when those hashtags and ats are being used. So hopefully we can get that to as many people as possible so that they can see the full history. And it brings up another good point. Right. And this is what I talked about. And boy, did a lot of people poo-poo me for this, is that Gala Games had an incredible head start. They had a viable working Townstar game, as OMS pointed out, far before anybody had anything that didn't look like Minecraft. Right. And they had a huge advantage. And now they're just a drop in the bucket. There's a million and a half other ecosystems out there now.
I disagree. Okay. Townstar, for the longest time, there were no rewards for it. You'd play the game, and then at a certain point, that's when they brought out the Town Coin. I'm trying to think how long Town Coin was actually issued and used and stuff. The game itself is a fairly simple game and has been. If you look at other games like Axie Infinity, they're similar. They're not leagues above it. The examples that OMS showed in his video, one was a card game, another one was Axie Infinity. They were of similar caliber. When I'm thinking of a higher caliber, I'm thinking like a 3D first-person shooter kind of thing, or something with a whole lot of details and stuff like that. Townstar had the potential for a lot of details, but the crafting was fairly simple. And what was nice is they kept building onto it. So I think he's puffing up Townstar a bit more. In all reality, and this is where I'm going to say something that you're really going to like, because you've said this before. The game wasn't that special if it wasn't for the rewards. But then again, Axie Infinity wouldn't have been that special for the rewards, and a lot of card games out there would not be special if they didn't pay crypto rewards either. I personally think that the crypto rewards make boring games more interesting, personally, but you know, I think OMS was speaking a bit much about Townstar. Townstar was nothing to write home about.
Well, even now though, because that advantage has been lost with
Yes,
with
totally.
things, and it's I don't see them as a relevant force on any platform right now. Now, they have a shot to do something special with Mirandus, but here's my hesitation on that. They're gonna, I think, end up releasing things too early. And I think that a lot of McCarthy's vision is going to be taken.
Context alert! Context alert! What are you talking about? Who's McCarthy? What are we talking about?
McCarthy is the person developing Mirandus. It's his baby. He started. He was with Sandbox Games that you'll see in OMS's videos, and Gala, I guess, bought Sandbox Games, and with it, the Mirandus title, right? And so they kind of merged in. As you'll see in the videos, they talk a little about that, about how they came to be. And so now Gala basically is in control of what happens ultimately with Mirandus. And
so you think, well, they've always been in control of Mirandus, right?
Well, here's the thing. When they had a lot of runway and they had their billions of dollars a few years back, they had a ton of time, right? They could push that game out 7 years to make it perfect, exactly how McCarthy had envisioned it. And it was going to be an industry changer, not only for crypto gaming, but probably for just traditional gaming as well, with the level of detail and how it was going to have its own internal economy that ran completely his way. And they're having to push that out a lot faster now because they know that's really the only moneymaker game that they have in their quiver at the moment.
Okay, wait a minute. So this is a dilemma faced by every gaming company ever. Especially when you're talking about computer gaming. Electronic Arts is known and fabled for ruining games by getting them out faster. And so it's inevitable that any game that's funded by a studio, they're going to be, well, movies are the same way. And the best movies become a compromise between getting them out sooner and features. And I would say the most successful movies and games are the ones where they can get the balance done in such a way that you can get some features out right now and keep delivering and using the constant deliveries as additional income. I do not think that any game out there has the leisure of taking as long as it wants to get itself done. I'm not familiar with many games that are like that. Star Citizen is one example of a game that wants to get it completely right before they publish it, and it's probably going to take them 20 years to make it because it's already been in development for like 10, 11 years, and they're completely like Kickstarter funded, and they have the money. So every game is going to, at a certain point, going to have to bend to reality and move out faster. That's my 2 cents on that.
I think it's a risk they didn't anticipate, and I hope that the experience is close to what McCarthy originally envisioned.
Why would you say it's a risk they didn't anticipate?
I just explained that to you when I went on my diatribe there. I think they thought that they had a lot more time because they were going to release Spider Tanks and Echoes of Empire and all these other games that were going to keep Gala flowing into the money and bringing all the people in. And they were going to have millions of gamers in there by the time, 2026, 2027, when Mirandus was released. And it would be millions of people jumping into this highly anticipated game. And Gala would make $17 trillion in 2 weeks. And Eric would be on the front page of every newspaper. That's what I think their vision was. And now, with the non-success of all these games on the platform, on the Gala platform, they have to do something with Mirandus. That's all they have left.
Well, now, what do you think of the mini games that have been coming out with Mirandus?
Like they have mini games?
Well, they did some mini games for a while. Do you remember the little dice game that they put out?
I vaguely.
And Michael McCarthy at one point had said, "We're going to have a lot of this stuff. We're going to have them in universe kind of thing in the game where you can go into a tavern. You could play a tavern game. I believe it was called Tavern Games, and basically you could roll dice and gamble Gala and stuff like that. Maybe they took it down because it was gambling, but I think it might have been a proof of concept as well." And Michael McCarthy has been talking about mini games coming out, for the last year and a half. Where are they?
I don't know.
So that's if Mirandus is going to take a while, they need to give something to people to keep them going, because what I think is a really dumb decision, they told people the moment they decided to make it. And most AAA games take 7 years to make. So you tell somebody in 7 years we're going to have a game, who's going to wait around? 1% of your Kickstarter investors.
There's another Gala announcement. Let me find it.
Wow, we're at an hour already. Look at that.
I know we had a lot to talk about. I got to put my glasses on. I apologize for the glare in your faces. Is this it?
Wow,
yes.
Some Coke bottle glasses you got there, buddy.
I know. Well, I have my lights. The way my lights are, it makes me look like I have a white eyes now. So Gala announced today also that they've opened a new game development studio in Santiago, Chile.
Where's this announced?
All over the place. Because again, you don't read.
Hey, now, come on. You're supposed to find something. I am asking for the benefit of the people watching.
Copy. Hang on. It was EIN Presswire via Brink's Twitter.
Strategic expansion with new game studio in Santiago, Chile.
Yes. It was. Yeah. So they're
announced today. Yeah, you're right.
So I'm guessing that just by reading this article, it sounds like they are trying to expand into other markets and perhaps do some development outside of traditional means.
Well, let's get real. A lot of companies now are outsourcing. I'm surprised they didn't say India, but I mean they could easily have been doing it to have cheaper developers. That said, it seems that every other company, every other country besides the United States is a lot more happy about crypto. And isn't Chile one of those countries with like a terrible? Oh, aren't they like embracing Bitcoin now? Is it Chile or Argentina? Oh, that's Argentina. So whatever the case is, I'd be interested in knowing how well they perceive crypto, because if the United States isn't a big market, then develop these games and produce them for other countries.
So you said, let's be real. So let's ask the question, the big elephant in the room. If you're a developer at Gala Games San Francisco and you just see this announcement that they post today that they're opening a gaming studio in Chile with developers they can get at a third of the cost. Do you think the developers should be nervous about their jobs?
It says, I would say it says every developer ever. Ever since I started doing software development, I've worked with outsourced employees. I have managed them. I have been managed by them. I have worked with them. I've been a liaison for them. A lot of companies go that route. And I'm going to say your mileage may vary. It depends on the team, and it depends on what basically you want to get get away with paying developers as little as possible. You may not get the best quality. It seems that people in the United States seem to work a bit easier with U.S. companies because we're very close by and we understand each other's culture better, and we have a lot of the same goals and stuff like that. When you have outsourced teams, my observation is they tend to focus on one particular way of doing things. Like they'll provide you a website that's like this, and they'll do it really well. Or you may get a load of crap. It's a crapshoot. So I would say if so, then it's a strategic decision, and it's been done by a lot of other companies. Now, is that a bad thing? No, I know what you're saying. Oh my God, jobs are going overseas. Frankly, I'd worry more about AI if you're worried about your jobs. But even then, AI is going to make it so that each developer can do more in the United States and out. So it's just going to be another tool. No, well, I'm not afraid of jobs going away by hiring people in other countries.
Okay.
They will still be there. There will still be more jobs.
Look, so I would be nervous if that was me. Is all I'm trying to point out is I wonder, because if you remember, they were pushing hard on Asia and Korea, and my power just flickered. Sorry.
So
Asia and Korea.
There's a different company. There's a different country that specializes. It used to be outsourcing to India was a big thing. Then it became outsourcing to Pakistan, and then outsourcing to African countries and South American countries and stuff like that. This is a global economy. Is it right? I don't know. Can you get good quality from overseas teams? That's going to be up to them to decide. The question, what I would suggest is, now that we know this, keep an eye on these games that Gala puts out, and let's see if they improve or get worse.
Well, and also it struck me as kind of odd. I haven't, obviously this came out hours ago, right? So I haven't poked around, but why Chile of all places that you could pick? Oh, especially, wow. And that's where I was trying to go when you cut me off. They were big into Asia and Korea. They did a bunch of events over there. They did a bunch of play tests over there, and then all of a sudden now they focus on Chile. I found that interesting and odd. That's
so
all.
What I remember, a year or two ago, is this big spider tanks extravaganza kind of thing going on in South Korea, and they had like everybody up on a stage playing spider tanks, and it was like they had South Korean commentators on it, and they were going to make it a new national sport and all that kind of stuff. And then South Korean government clamped down hard on crypto. Now I know what you're going to say. Gala Games didn't do a good job of marketing their game in South Korea. No, the government took care of that problem. They basically made crypto illegal. Oh yeah, the time zone, Golden Hawk. Yeah, time zone is definitely better for working in the U.S. if you're in Chile.
Well, the other part of that, didn't they just hire an Asian gamer, like a really popular guy from over in that market, to be one of their social media guys or something? I remember seeing something about that not very long ago. I want to say Thanksgiving-ish. And that's why it kind of surprised me when I saw that. I'm like, boy, they invested a lot in Asia, and they just hired that guy, that social media influencer guy from somewhere in Asia. And then all of a sudden it's like, wham, now we're in Chile. And I went,
well,
Okay.
how do you know? I can't even Google. I was Googling software developer rates, offshore software developer rates on Google, and I just get a bunch of sites that just lead me to some sort of paywalled information. I'm just going to go chat GPT and ask it because it'll tell me the answer.
Well, Zorro, you're probably not wrong, and to me I understand it from a business sense, but that's where you fall into that trap, like Apple fell into, about being accused of taking advantage of that situation, taking advantage of people with some of their factories they have other places because of the labor law differences and all kinds of stuff. But I mean, from a business sense, I get it, right? I can hire somebody to recreate a logo for me for $1,000, right up the road here, or I can go on Fiverr and get somebody to do the exact same work at the exact same quality for $50 because they're based out of another country. So I mean, I get it, but again, it just struck me as so odd that Chile. I was like, wow, I would have never guessed.
I remember a few years ago, Russia and Ukraine were actually a big place for software development. Not so much anymore, thanks to a war. It might just be that Chile is the latest place. I mean, these things change all the time.
Yeah, it could be.
So I got some numbers here. Tell me in US dollars. So I got a big list here. So apparently, Asia. Oh my God. So in the United States, software developers, $70,000 to $120,000 a year. In Asia, it's $5,000 to $20,000 per year. Latin America, $10,000 to $30,000 per year. Eastern Europe, $20,000 to $40,000. So that's where the money is.
Well, what you said sounded like Asia was still the cheapest.
Yeah, but it also depends upon, I would say, trade agreements, company sentiment, people that over there. I mean, if you have a lot of contacts in Asia, great. That can
they should with all the events they did.
Mexico, $15,000 to $25,000 a year. I mean, these are really low amounts that no software developer here in the United States would do. So the question is going to a Mexican developer the same as going to a developer in the United States? Maybe. Do they have the same kind of education? If so, do they have the same kind of resume? Is a Mexican developer, how many top 500 companies has a Mexican developer work for versus a United States developer? Quality matters. I'm just saying that as a software developer, if you had somebody in the United States, when you have somebody that's co-located culturally, more of the same culture, and is very motivated with a lot of money, they may be a better value than somebody in another country. But if you just want to make number go up and spend as little as possible, yeah, you might want to outsource. And I can even see a cyclical kind of thing where, okay, company's been making, I don't know, their shoes in Thailand for a while. And then we find out about how little they're paid, and they're in sweatshops. And the company's like, oh, that's bad for business. We should hire more people in the United States. Well, the truth is that we're in a global economy, and you're going to be competing with people from all around the world. Right. I wish it were different, but it's just reality now.
You've got to look at costs of living too. I mean, in some of the other countries, what we deem very low pay is actually very high pay there. I don't know what those are off the top of my head, but perhaps where that quote is coming from of $25,000 a year in Mexico, they might be able to live the same lifestyle as a $125,000 developer here. Well, so you've got to take that into account too.
I wonder how many people from the United States would say, you know what, I'll go pay me half of what you normally pay me, and I'll go and live in Honduras or something.
Right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a world traveler. I don't travel around to see what costs of living are all over the world, but that's definitely something.
My experience with working with remote developers, especially in people that are 12 hours ahead or behind of you, becomes how to effectively manage them. And I will say that if Gala is going to do that, they better be good at managing developers.
Well, we know they are, because we know Voxverse worked out real well, right?
They better have their shit together, and they better have like nice, simple, easy targets to hit, and have good project managers and so on, because those matter a whole lot more. If you're coding by the seat of your pants, that's great in the United States because you have the people right there. But it's totally different when you have people in other countries. You'll have 12 developers sitting on their ass, and you'll be paying for all sorts of crap because you can't effectively manage them. And I'm not sure I blame the developers there. I blame the United States company. So, by the way, I'm not for or against remote developers. It's just kind of obvious why they're doing that.
Well, isn't that what you do for a living?
I'm a software developer.
A remote software developer?
I'm a software developer. It's none of anybody's business whether I'm remote or not, or what country I'm in.
Well, your point being made there is it's so difficult to manage, but it's not really.
What's not?
In most cases, it's not difficult to manage remote teams. It's the strength of the leadership and the accountability factors that go into all that.
Incredibly large oversimplification of software development. Remember, software developers know tens of languages. They do lots of different processes to build, compile, and deploy. Don't even get me started on the amount of stuff that software developers do. The less that you pay them, the less they'll be able to do. You want a UI programmer? Great, they cost this much. You want a back-end programmer? Great, they cost that much. You want a full stack developer? They cost a whole lot more.
Yeah, Golden Hawk.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a problem as a software developer understanding how for 2 years they could be developing something, Vox, and nothing happened. So that says to me, where's your project managers in the United States? Because who's talking to these people? So that's the first thing. And okay, I get that you're a big rich CEO of a company, and this is where the buck stops. You're a big rich CEO of a company. Who the fuck have you been paying for 2 years? You should fire your whole goddamn company and start over if you don't even know what people have been doing for 2 years. But I have a feeling, I have this strange feeling that these people might have been put on the back burner for all this time, and maybe that money was put elsewhere, maybe hoping that they get a payday later. So I think I have a feeling it might even be intentional, but that's my speculation. Remember,
yeah,
this is
well,
talk here.
That's what I mean. You know, with how we've heard both, you know, direct stories from people as well as what we've seen. Eric has his finger on everybody's wrist and what their pulse is. He's got his if someone farts and a little nugget comes out, he knows how big the nugget is in that person's pants, right?
He's just shown that he doesn't.
So to hear the excuse, oh, this is a surprise to us 2 years later, my opinion is that's complete bullshit. I can't buy it. I'm sorry.
And this is where I'd have to even disagree with Bitbender, because Bitbender had he said something about, hey, sometimes things like this fall between the cracks, but this crack is so big you can fly the space shuttle through it. So I'm sorry, it's Voxverse was supposed to be one of the most important things that the company was doing. Is they're going to base their company around like everything with Voxverse, right?
Yes.
So what were they developing in the meantime?
That was the goal.
You know, so
right. That's what I mean. I personally don't buy that they didn't know what was going on.
I predict a reorg coming. Okay, something's going to happen. It's okay. Now they've got to start over from scratch with Voxverse. They're going to start tightening the vices down on all the other software development projects, because they got to figure out which ones are going to deliver. There's probably a reason why Gamedia stopped delivering and stopped, wanting to give their source code, which I'd like to find out more about that.
But we don't know if they did.
Well,
We
no,
don't know if they, if
I know,
like
I'm
Jurgen told
speculating.
us,
Come on now. I'm
everything's been
speculating.
sitting there
So
and they're waiting on Gala.
So regardless, I'm talking about the things that were asserted that can be easily proven here, which is if Gamedia has not delivered their source code to Gala, if Gala is saying that this has happened, then there must be some sort of contract where they needed to give the source code to Gala. I'd like to know what that's all about. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I want to see why. Okay, maybe Gamedia is right. Maybe they can. Maybe a court will agree that it has been out for 2 or 3 years. Great. How come they haven't delivered the source code? That's all. And I'd love to see something in writing from Gamedia saying, okay, look, we were never going to give the source code unless this time is up or something like that. That I'd like to see.
I'm hoping that contract will be provided in the court documents so that we could see the contract is what I'm really hoping.
Did we see all the contracts with Wright Thurston?
We saw a lot. They even pulled some documents back, like those tax documents, because they laid it all out. They laid out the text messages. They laid out everything. And so I'm hoping that we're going to have the same thing going on here. The difference, and I don't know if this is intentional or accidental, but the California law is where this is being based, and Gala's new headquarters is California, and there's a lot tighter security on public documents in California over other states.
Hey, remember this guy?
Magipto, dude, welcome back. It's been a while. God, 2 years? No kidding.
Yeah.
That's...
Sorry. It's
yeah.
Apparently. But they have some nice videos.
It's been an interesting
game called,
2 years.
They repurposed the game and made Get Plucked out of it. What was that? What's that game called that Get Plucked is a total clone of?
Crossy Road.
Crossy Road, which my son has played for many years and has loved, and I thought is a great game, and then all of a sudden it's skinned like a fucking box.
Yes, and Crossy Road is a takeoff of Frogger. Back when we were playing big console games.
Big enough difference from Frogger, but the whole point is the game is reskinned. And it's like, how much did it cost to make this game if all they did was change the sprites on the thing? Yeah.
Well, they got busted. Remember, they got busted with Grit too. They bought the skins off of. They were $5 each. Somebody dug up that they repurchased $5 skins and were selling them for like $100.
So
and
Grit was one of those games that I was never interested in. I've never bought any of their stuff. It just didn't look good. I mean, apparently it was funny, and the people that like it really like it. But I mean, I played a lot of 3D first-person shooters out there, and that was a third-person shooter. A lot of first-person shooters out there, and it didn't really distinguish itself. I think it was just a shooter that they were able to get hooked into a blockchain. I don't even know if it's even hooked into a blockchain. Is it?
It's sitting over at Epic Games, I believe. And the Grit game is still there for people to play, but I don't think there's, as far as I know, there's not been any news on Grit from Gala for a very long time.
So
I don't know what they're doing there.
Stalled deals with other companies. Why would a deal get stalled? I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
Well, okay, so we've gone over this 100 times already, and it's getting old. But we're seeing the minimums being put out for these games, right? And then everybody's pointing fingers at each other. The game studios are pointing fingers at Gala. Gala's pointing fingers at the studios. Everybody's blaming everybody. And in the meantime, nothing is happening, and people are getting wrecked because they bought assets for these games that they either can't use, or they're useless, or they're not being used as intended. That's what this really boils down to. And that's why a big part of why I say deliver something viable. There has to be a line somewhere with what a release is. Just by having Brink or anybody else stand up and go, dude, we delivered a game. If you can't do anything in it, or it's a shortened version, or there's no updates, or your NFTs can't be used, that's not a release. I'm sorry.
Well, software development is known for late deliveries and redefined goals and stuff like that. See, people think of software development like popping out cars at the Ford Motor Plant. No, what they're popping out at the Ford Motor Plant is a car based on a template. They have this template that's done. All the pieces go here, 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 and here, and here. And basically you get as many cars out as you can physically get together in a short period of time with a lot of robots helping you. Software development is basically custom cabinet making. Everybody has a different size kitchen. They want a different color. They want different hinges. They want a different router on the front of them. They want all sorts of different stains, all that stuff, and it's just going to go slow. So software development and to predict that is an art that's still not mastered. It's every software house I've been at has had trouble estimating. And then on top of that, even estimating, then there's the definitions of what all those estimates mean. It's like, okay, are we all on the same page about what done means? Or are we all on the same page about what this feature means? I want to be able to click on this and this happen. Okay, well, I didn't say when it was going to happen. It was going to happen 12 minutes later. That's not in your requirements document. So software development is hard, and a lot of companies suck at it.
And that's why you jumped in the other day when I made that comment in the Star Atlas channel at CFA, talking about Star Atlas and pre-sales of these assets. I'm not owning anything anymore. I learned my lesson with Gala, because and we talked about this on the show, there's no basis to price those at this point, being this early. They just charge whatever they want and people buy it, and who the hell knows what it's going to be at the very end. So until the game comes out, I don't think it's a smart idea from my standpoint to buy assets.
Then you're not going to make money, because the whole point of building any industry, including software development, is getting in early. And if you're going to wait until everything's done, you're not going to make very much money. But that's okay. That's because you want to play the game itself. But if you're a crypto person that wants to make money, you're going to take the risks. And it's okay. Just don't bitch about the fact that you made bad calls. You made a bad call.
Like your EOE Planet, you made a lot of money on that, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was a call. It wasn't a good call. So I bought some, in 2021, EOE was selling like hotcakes, and I'm sorry, but the game is boring. And
did you have any?
Timbo Slice's credit, he's been playing the shit out of EOE and probably been one of the best testers they've ever had, because he's even organized like a ton of people to get together and play this game at once, and downed all their servers due to using up all the resources on them and stuff like that. EOE is still quite boring. And so that's a miscalculation of mine by buying assets in it. Gala might not stay together long enough for me to be able to enjoy those assets. I bought them to make money.
So you bought them as an investment.
I can't. You don't see me complaining to them or to Gala Games or even to you about it. It just is. You lose money. Whoopee. Yeah, I know. Make better decisions next time. I know the same people that clamor for, I want to be free to buy whatever I want, I want to make all these choices, they also come running and they say, we need somebody to enforce these rules. We need to stop bad actors in this, but not too many of them, not the bad actors that I want. So these people are dying to have the SEC come into their shit, only to get pissed when the SEC gets into their shit. Sorry, you can't have it both ways.
Well, you can, and it's just until you get caught.
Isn't that how any investment goes? I mean,
yeah. All right, I am out of ideas because we're starting to repeat ourselves here.
Yes, we are. And I'm starting to sound like you, and you're starting to sound like me, I think.
Well, because I haven't been drinking enough water for the last hour and a half. All right, so I hope everybody got some good stuff out of this. I've got to go pull OMS's latest video and try and get that in the show description and on CFA while I download the show.
Wait, Zorro has something. What did we miss, Zorro?
All right, what did we miss?
Keep on with your diatribe. You got shit to do.
No, I've got to download the show and stuff while I'm waiting for that to happen so I can get the show posted audio version. I'll get those links up so you can watch OMS's latest video, promote it, but watch. I'll put an example of the hashtags and such on it so it trails and shows up with the other Gala posts, and that way we can get that out to as many people as possible.
There you go, straight from the mouth, straight from the keyboard of Zorro. Bitbender tweet today, Galaverse 2024. Be there.
Oh my goodness.
Cubicle.
Oh my goodness. They need money badly. That's where they do all their selling, but I don't think any of the whales are going to show up to that.
Ticket, I'll go. If they have $1,000 ticket, no. I remember those Galaverse tickets. They were like what?
5,000, yeah.
And I'm trying to think of any events that anybody I know have gone to that were that expensive for a ticket. That wasn't a company. I mean, a company might pay $50,000 to go to an event, but usually they're hosting it. But I'd like to know, $50,000 for all your employees. So I hope they have some real money there.
Well, I don't think any of the Gala whales are going to be at that event. They're all gone. They've migrated. The whales have migrated. So well, I think they're going to be shocked when that happens.
From what I understand about the Galaverses in the past, and I have not gone to any because I haven't, is that they're there for the faithful. They're selling, basically they're serving up Kool-Aid to the faithful. Okay, sure.
And wait, we do have something else. For all of you listening, Faz needs your help in a big way. So I see all these announcements coming through my Twitter feed that these judges are being selected for the hackathon, and they're all like friends of Gala, right? Like Wookie and some other social influencers. None of them know anything about code or how games work or development, yet we have Faz here, who's not only a gamer, he's a software developer, he's developed game software, and he's like beyond balls deep in the Gala ecosystem.
Let's just say
he teabagged the system for 3.5 years. And not one person at Gala asked him to be a judge. I went and pushed on Brink, but Brink doesn't like me, so he didn't probably listen to that. He might like some of you guys. Go push on him publicly, especially if you're still over at the Gala server, and see why it is that of all people that should be a judge, the most qualified, in my opinion, wasn't invited. And it's down in San Francisco, so it's a 6-hour ride for you down there. Come on, man, help Faz get into that judging booth.
Do you want to put me on a milk carton? Help Faz become a judge?
Well, I'm hoping you'll sit next to Snoop and he'll give you a doobie and you'll lighten up a little bit.
Only for the doobie. Only during the doobie.
Who was banned?
Scuttlebutt about Snoop too recently.
I don't know. The news is like all over the place. Just like Zorro pointed out, we missed something. I mean, it's just they just puke news all over the world, and nobody knows what the hell.
Was Wookie and the other people banned, but they're judges now? Is that what you're saying, Zorro? I've never been banned, so I guess I can't be a judge. Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you talking about being banned, Zorro? I know I wasn't really even interested in the Galaverse thing. The only thing I was interested in, I got a great deal of entertainment from, was watching Lycan's live feed. And when he got thrown out, that was absolutely hysterical because he wandered into an area he wasn't supposed to be in and had his camera going. It was fantastic. The whales, no, they're not banned. That's not how it works. The whales just don't want to go. If Gala's saying they were banned, then they're just trying to save face. There's nobody that wants to put money into Gala, obviously, because it's not going in a great direction.
Well, if it happens, maybe I can broadcast from there. This is Titan's idea, by the way. It hasn't even. I just heard about this hackathon like yesterday.
Don't let him snow you. He sent me 6 ETH and said promote this.
No.
No, I'm kidding. Really, I mean that really did shock me. I sent Faz a note as soon as I saw that. I'm like, hey, did you get an invite from Brink? And he's like, no. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? So yeah, I did push on that a little bit, but
the only thing I get from Brink is every once in a while he pops up and we talk about getting him on FazRadio. I usually think he warms up when there's something that needs to be announced or something. And
well, of course, he uses the platform for his use, as any smart business would do.
Hey, we need listeners. He needs to get the word out.
We have guests to book. We have Rostakip. We want to get Rostakip back on.
Yeah, I want to get him back on because he's been developing a lot of good stuff for Gala.
We've talked to him a couple of times, and this guy's freaking amazing. And I've got to get a hold of Bucks. I don't know if you've looked into where she is now at MaidSafe.
What's MaidSafe?
And they are a company that's developing decentralized media and social controls. So you control all your data and you lock it into your own ecosystem and can release it as you see fit if you want to make money on it. But it's a brand new concept. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is a revised concept of what MaidSafe has been trying to do for like the last 16 years. As blockchain has developed, they've shifted a little bit. There's a lot of fantastic spaces that are recorded, and there's a MaidSafe Discord that Bucks is very active in. I've been quietly watching and listening to what they've been doing over there, and it's definitely worth a look. I don't know where it'll go. I have a lot of questions, as I always do, about these platforms because there have been a ton, and by a ton, I mean a ton, of CEOs/senior leadership changes at that company over the years. Like every year or two, they burned through like 4 or 5 people. Every year or two, they were letting it go. It just wasn't getting done. So there's a lot of questions I have. I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying it's terrible, but I think it's worth a look because Bucks has turned a fantastic leaf.
You're just talking on your head. I mean, the more you talk about, the more scary it sounds.
Well, no, because it's so new. I'm still digesting exactly what they're doing because it is a little complicated.
You asked me to work at a company that's been through a number of CEOs and vice presidents and stuff like that. Did I ever tell the story that I worked at one company as a contractor many years ago? This is like 20 years ago, where I came in and they had gone through 6 vice presidents in 7 months. And and when I was there, it was like rats running off of a sinking ship. Nobody knew what they were doing. There's no talent. The first day I came in, they had these databases that were like just larger than God, and like, okay, can you tell us what's in the database? We know that you're good at reporting. And I'm like, well, I have to know the database. They're like, well, here's the database. And I spent my entire 6 weeks there trying to find data for them. I get them the right data, or what I thought was the right data, hand it to the VP. He'd cross it out and say, no, this is wrong. Go query it again. And basically nobody knew what their data was, and I'd spend my days hunting down a good field to use for a database report. It's like, do you know of a field? What about a field that gives us these numbers? And they're like, well, we've got this correction, that correction, and this. And yeah, when I hear about a company that's gone through a lot of, just a meat grinder of people, I think it's crazy scary to work there. So you should just say, just go check out the website, and that's it.
Oh, and I did post in CFA and on some other boards that I'm on for alpha on things. We talked about a token a long time ago, and I researched it, and I think I did 2 segments on shows about it. It's token SYL.
Oh yeah.
And they rebranded a little over a year ago from Synergy Labs or something like that. They rebranded to MyDID is what they are now. And they just got listed on Binance. So they're still making progress. And they're starting to get some traction. So I was very pleased to hear that.
Well, SYL. That's one of my picks, and that's one of the few coins I have left sitting on Bitrue because it has its own. It's not an ERC20 token. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a BSC. It's BSC.
Yeah, so it's still sitting on Bitrue. So if that thing goes skyrockets, I'm gonna have to go there and just sell it to get it off of there. But actually,
yeah, take it, drop it in Trust Wallet or whatever. They're real good with their BSC. It makes it real easy to transact on BSC.
Yeah, you'll have to help
That's
me
Binance
out.
Smart Chain, by the way.
Let's see. Is SYL going up? Well, not really. They're going up very slowly since the beginning of February. They had a big spike that went away. Looks like their bottom was in August of last year, 0.0003. That's what you do is you find coins that are like at 0.0003. You buy like $500 of it, and then you wait 2 years, and then it's a gamble.
Well, it's still got to be a good company, and what this company does is they do like the KYC stuff, right? So it's parsing your personal data for KYC, but here was their shtick on that, right? So what they do is they allow you to set up boxes. Think of them as boxes. Your name and address and phone number, basic information in this box. Your social security number and government ID number in this box. And other deep personal information like your children's names and all that other stuff you can put in this box. And it's all encrypted on the blockchain. So and credit cards and accounts and bank accounts, you can put them all in these boxes. So they try and partner with other companies who require KYC to accept their network. And what then you do is when you go to KYC, you choose what boxes you want to be able to send for the requirements that the KYC person has. And it creates a zip file of just those and re-encrypts it. And it shakes hands with the KYC asker, and it says, okay, it's verified. And I thought that was really cool technology. And this was from like 2.5 years ago. So they're starting to gain some traction, and I thought that was really cool news.
All right, so I will let that be your final word. And,
yeah, because otherwise I'll remember something else and we'll go on forever.
Yep. So thank you very much, people, for coming by and watching us. We got a number of users. We got a whole 20 people right now. That's awesome.
Yes. Maybe. Thank you for tuning in to an hour and 44 minutes of us blathering about whatever. Next week at the same bat time, same bat channel, either 8 or 9.
Are we ready?
I'm zipped.
Bye-bye.